So, we are coming back on here to continue our discussions on the Pittsburgh Penguins, because as more information and as more talking points come out, it opens the door to broader discussion between the NHL fan bases and whichever teams could be involved here. Now, before we dive into everything, I just wanted to give a big shout out to Brad. Because in yesterday's video, we ended up speaking about the Detroit Red Wings Erik Karlsson trade price. And in this commentary, I had spoken out about how Erik Karlsson has a very interesting situation in that his salary is not actually being paid in full by the Penguins. He has an $11.5 million AAV cap hit, and that is displayed on Elite Prospects, for example. If you go over to EP, Karlsson just has this number on his cap hit, which if we actually check it out, I mean, it's still there. There you go, $11.5 million a year for Erik Karlsson. I said that it was kind of difficult to fully have that be in place because Erik Karlsson, while he does have an $11.5 million cap hit, the Penguins are not paying that. Instead, they're paying him $10 million because when Karlsson got traded, there was salary retention from San Jose. Well, I wanted to give a big shout out over to Brad because he emailed me the other day and spoke about how, Pittsburgh themselves, if you go over to the Penguins and their page on Puckpedia, this is where you will see the accurate dollar amount for Erik Karlsson and his Penguins cap hit. He's only making $10 million a year against Pittsburgh's salary, even though the player himself is making $11.5. Now, that does not dismiss the issue that says that, hey, if you're on Erik Karlsson's page and you want to see how much he's making against Pittsburgh's cap, that's not available to you on this website right here. You have to go over to the Pittsburgh Penguins and their cap situation to get the unfiltered and post-retention number. There are a number of things that I think you can try to do to figure this out, but also I was speaking about how when Cap Friendly was in collaboration with Elite Prospects, the regular cap hit on this page would show the post-retention cap hit, so it would say 10. But if you scrolled over and you looked at the full contract details, this is where the full cap hit would be displayed. So I think it is kind of confusing on Elite Prospects, especially if you're looking at Karlsson's page and it's like, okay, he's on the Penguins, and there's an $11.5 million cap hit. Like, it doesn't really translate the proper way. But either way, we're going back over onto Pittsburgh and talking about their trade pieces one more time, because there are a number of guys that we have spoken about over the past few weeks that can be top-tier targets on the market. Here's a tweet from NHL Rumor Report from earlier this morning that cites a Josh Yohei quote from The Athletic regarding the Pittsburgh Penguins. A big trade or two feels likely before training camp. Dubas hasn't received the offers that meet his liking yet, but he is fully committed to a rebuild. Fully committed to a rebuild, eh? I don't know about you, but when I hear fully committed to a rebuild, in what world does that mean this guy's going to keep Crosby? Like, the language there, the way it's presented, it's like, how can you fully commit to a rebuild when you keep 87 on your team? I get it, 87 is an untouchable gem. If he wants to get traded, he will be. There is no world in which Sidney Crosby gets traded against his will. That is absolutely the case. But just the way everything is presented, it's like, if his GM is fully committed to a rebuild, and everybody knows that Kyle Dubas is fully committed to a rebuild, would that not incentivize Crosby more to say, all right, well, if you guys want to rebuild, I guess I don't really have a role here anymore other than mentoring the young guys, which I can do, but then again, I'm Sidney freaking Crosby. I'm still a 90-point caliber guy. I want to go out there and use my talents to win another Stanley Cup, for example. Malkin is on the last year of his deal. He's not going to come back. He's 39 years old. Sid the Kid is 37. Chris Letang, he's 38. You could say that he's really not as good as he used to be. And Erik Karlsson is still on the market in some sort of a potential trade scenario. Now, I will say, if the Penguins have not received whatever offers it is that they feel are worthy for a trade involving Rust or Rakell or Karlsson or whatever, maybe they just have to wait a little bit longer, wait until training camp. That's when teams are going to get desperate and say, okay, we really do need that top six forward. Let's just trade Rakell, or let's trade for Rakell. Let's add on that prospect, add on that pick. It's like the Noah Dobson trade that we had seen in Montreal just a little bit ago, where Dobson was going to go to Columbus until Kent Hughes got a hold of that and was like, okay, fine, here, take Emil Heineman. Can we get Dobson now? And the Als were like, okay. I take a look at some of these names that we've been talking about as members of other teams for a while now. Sidney Crosby, there will always be links to Montreal, especially nowadays that it's like, yeah, his team is fully committing to a rebuild, so why would he need to stick around there? Crosby is a very contentious subject. You also have got Rust and Rakell. We've made videos about Detroit going after either of these guys. They can play left wing. They can be in the top line alongside of Raymond and Larkin. I think either of these dudes would be very good value, especially Rickard Rakell, who is a little younger than Rust, who's making a little bit less money than Rust, and who also produces more too. Rickard Rakell just had a monster of a season, and I think people really need to stop disrespecting that guy's name, because it's been a while for Rakell to marinate in the NHL, but oh boy, is he posting up some of the best numbers of his career. 70-point season in 24-25, 35 goals and 35 assists. This is a top-line caliber winger for Detroit, potentially. And then if you scroll down, you have some other names here too, of course. Everybody is going to be talking about Erik Karlsson until the season begins here. We had spoken about the trade price yesterday, whether or not a Shai Buium and a first-round pick package is enough to get it done for Erik Karlsson. Sure, he's valuable. I mean, the guy went out there and produced 50 points last year on a team where he wasn't the bona fide number one power play option. He is 2 years removed from doubling that and giving it to the next team in San Jose. But if Erik Karlsson were to be traded, obviously the value is not going to be for a $10 million caliber defenseman. It's going to be for a lot cheaper because Karlsson comes with a lot of negatives to his game. He's got a huge cap hit. He's not great defensively. He is very good offensively, and I do think that he would be probably the best power play quarterback Detroit, for example, has had in years if he were to come on to the Red Wings. But still, that price is not going to be super high. So, who knows, maybe a Buium or a Carter Mazur plus a first-round pick is enough to get it done. But then again, I mean, Josh Yohei's saying a lot of these offers that Dubas has received, they're not really great. And I can understand from that perspective, too, why they're not great. Pittsburgh is the only team in the NHL that is willing to sell at this point. None of these teams are going to be hitting up the Penguins saying, okay, here's your roster player, here's your young forward, here's this, here's that. They want to get rid of prospects and they want to get rid of picks. Because every team is going to be competitive this upcoming season. It's just Pittsburgh that's really taking the season off and saying, okay, yeah, let's rebuild. Let's get Gavin McKenna. And they're doing this with Sidney Crosby on the team, too, which feels so bizarre. But either way, I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about this Penguins trade update? How a trade feels likely? A trade or two feels likely? Whether or not that means Erik Karlsson, Bryan Rust, Rickard Rakell, Sidney Crosby maybe even, Anthony Mantha, Danton Hunt. Okay, we're not gonna sell off everybody if we are Kyle Dubas, right? But the big names. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about Karlsson, Rickard Rakell, Crosby, etc. What are your opinions on these guys getting traded? Do they not? Do they stay in Pittsburgh? Which team is the team that bites and which team pays the price? Let me know in the comment section all your opinions. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.